Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today for this solar career seminar. My name is Kat Mayo. I'm pretty new to the Grand Marais community. I am the coordinator for Cook County Local Energy Project, and we are a local small nonprofit based out of Grand Marais. And we support and serve our greater Cook County community. What we focus in on is helping the transition away from our dependence of fossil fuels and towards energy independence for our community. So moving towards renewable energies. So that's our big mission as CoOp. And with that, we also help with workforce development. So, solar trainings, things like that. So getting the word out to our community, to our youth and to adults that are interested in making that transition. We also really focus in on community education. So things like this that we're doing right now, along with beneficial electrification, distributed solar for residents and commercial businesses. So that's a little bit about us. We do a lot more than just that, but I'm here to serve and to help to get the education and the resources to our community as needed. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this seminar for you today.
Dane, next, you're up.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. My name is Dane, and I work for Wolf-Track Energy. We are a solar installer based out of Two Harbors. I'm here to kind of just provide some insider knowledge, my expertise, just about the industry, about solar in Cook County, and just kind of the Duluth Arrowhead region. And so I put a little bit of a slideshow together here today. It is very kind of brief. We're just scratching the surface on all of the different avenues, different information, but it's a good place to start, get you some knowledge, just kind of about the ins and outs of the industry, especially on the kind of the solar side of things. So we can get started here. Excuse me. And so, kind of you can kind of view, the industry. There's many different branches of it. So you have the manufacturing, which would be kind of the manufacturing of the actual, what we, like a solar panel, or in the industry, we call them a solar module. So there actually is a manufacturing plant that is up in Mountain Iron, Minnesota. So up on the Iron Range. Helene is the name of it. They produce solar panels. And so there are plenty of opportunities there, whether that's, heavy machine operator, if you have an interest in chemistry, a lot of people with degrees in chemistry will go and work on that side of things, dealing with solar cells, the assembly of all of those solar panels, kind of a lot of different avenues down there. We have system design. So that there's kind of two different scopes there. One is on the utility scale side of things. So we don't see a lot of them up here, but I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of and, see those large solar fields. In southern Minnesota in particular, they're very, very common. So system design there, we have, whether that is just designing on like a CAD-based software. You can design the system, you can be an estimator, so you can give estimated costs for the system. That also, how much power will that produce? A lot there. And so in regards to that as well, system design. So what I do at Wolf-Track, I'm kind of on the sales end of things. So I will meet people at their homes, take a look at the houses, and then I also will design their system after we meet. So we use a software that's meant for designing PV systems or solar systems, and basically get all the information that we need. I can design the system at their house. And so there's kind of estimating, computer-based design, lots of different things there. Project development, this is more so on the larger scale utility side. Think of it kind of like a commercial real estate developer. There's also that role that's kind of needed for the utility scale solar projects where they get in touch with, you know, farm owners typically, and they will lease the land from them. And so you kind of need someone who's going to help develop all of that. So basically, you're reaching out, finding good locations where the utility company allows there to be, excess amount of energy being produced at that location, and then the landowner is also okay with kind of using that space to put solar panels there. Then we have the actual physical installation and operations, which is typically, you have laborers and electricians. That's basically the physical installation of, solar panels, whether it's up on the roof, on the ground, with the utility company. So kind of a lot of different branches in the solar world and different avenues in which you can, find yourself working. So a lot there, and a lot of it's also really changing what seems to be every day. As the demand increases, as regulations get put in place, as renewable energy goals get put in place on the local, state, and federal level, there's just a lot of different avenues, a lot of routes. Pretty exciting time, that's for sure. So kind of how to start. So me personally, I started in the industry knowing absolutely nothing about electricity, about solar, was very, very green. Really, it just kind of started with a curiosity, which kind of, overtook everything else, was just a genuinely interested in the technology and the whole industry, the environmental benefits of it. So I got started on the sales side of things, on kind of the residential installer level. So that's a great way how people get their foot into the door, is not necessarily being the one going up on roofs, but you can also be the one who's kind of helping to sell the systems. And, a brief scope of that, you could, on a residential side, maybe you are looking at, homeowners' power bills. We want to know, okay, how much power are they using in a year? Here's what we think the best system is for you. Here's kind of the cost of those systems. And we you work with the homeowner to help them achieve whatever goals they're looking for. Another thing that you can start is there's a certification out there that's called the PV Associate Certification, which gets offered by many different training classes online that you can take. Basically, you can get this certification, which it just kind of shows, hey, I have a general knowledge of solar, and you had the motivation to go and get a brief certification in the industry. So it'd be a great place to start, to just show, hey, I know more than the average person about solar, and I'm interested. Or you can kind of take the internship route, where a lot of companies are very willing to bring people on to just learn the ins and outs as time goes on. And so there's a lot of paid internship routes, or kind of like what I did. You go find an installer, go find a company to just work for, kind of do whatever it is you have to do, and then you can grow from there. And then there's also PV designer. So basically what that is you'd be the one, it's kind of like a CAD based job that's out there. A lot of companies will kind of hire that work out, and that's its own job in its own, where basically you're on the computer, you're designing homes, you're designing solar fields, and you're using a CAD based software to get the design in place, where then once you have that design, the whole project scales out from there. Another place to start would be in the sales side of things, like I touched on before. There's also, you could be the installer. So physically going up on roofs, heading out into fields, installing. In the state, technically, you're supposed to be an electrician if you are to be kind of putting panels up on roofs. And so you can look at getting your apprenticeship card, whether that's through the union, whether it's not through the union, get the apprenticeship card, and you kind of go that route as to getting your foot into the door and getting that hands-on experience. And then last but not least, there is a certification, which is kind of the gold standard in the solar world, which is called your NABCEP, North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. And so basically that's kind of one of the only certifications in the industry at the moment, which just kind of verifies your knowledge of solar. That a lot like Minnesota Power, for example, in Duluth, they have a rebate that they would offer kind of once a year, and the installer is required to have that certification in order for the homeowners to qualify for that rebate. So those are all kind of great ways to just start, by gaining knowledge or just work experience and kind of getting your foot into the door and learning from there.
Hey, Dane, I wonder if Kat could do a quick introduction of some people that in Cook County that people might know of.
Yeah, absolutely.
As she kind of thinks on that, I'm also just going to mention, I know that people are looking at maybe that whole concept of going on to be an electrician, and they're thinking maybe that isn't a process they know how to get to, or having some questions about how that could potentially come together for them. And so the two things I would suggest is, one, talk to your school counselor, or you can reach out to us at Cook County Higher Education, and we will happily talk through options for schooling in Minnesota or beyond. But also want to mention that Lake Superior College, I know, has an electrician program, and also in Cook County, we are very lucky to be able to have resources like the Lloyd K. Johnson Scholarship that provides full tuition coverage for students at Cook County High School that qualify, that end up getting rewarded that scholarship, that they could potentially go there for free. So that is a great route if you're looking at wanting to do solar installation and wondering how you could get to that point of how do I go to school for that. Kat, would you maybe talk about those solar installers? Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I will pull up a list to share in the chat here in a moment. I don't have that up yet, so just give me a minute. But I would recommend for sure, if folks are interested, the Midwest Renewable Energy Academy is a really great option for if you want to pursue an education route for getting on board with these trainings. And I'll share that resource. And that is something that CoOp is pursuing right now for setting up as a training option for Cook County, whether you're a student or if you're, a full-on adult and you're interested in making a transition in a career. So I'm going to pull that up. So I want to make sure that if you're interested and you want help with that, just reach out to me and we can work on that option together. So that's in the works right now, but I will share a few options in the chat. There's a few installers that I've been talking with that potentially might be interested in having an intern jump on board once you take that training. So that is honestly to be determined, but I want to get the list up of some of the installers that I've been talking with that are interested. So
I know that, I've also heard that you guys have provided coverage of trainings for people to go to school or get a short training for that were already installers in some way, or maybe want to be installers. Can you just cover that for just a quick second?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 2 years ago, we had about 6 electricians and that were local in the Grand Marais, Cook County area that were interested in pursuing an installer, the whole process of getting the certification. And so we worked with the city of Grand Marais to provide, we did a small grant of several $1,000s that were able to help cover the cost of the training. And since then, we have several installers locally, like Shem Falter, who has been become a local installer for our Grand Marais community, which is awesome. And so he's Peak Electric Energy, and they are one of the installers that we'd recommend potentially doing an internship with and collaborating with locally. So that's something that you can really do on a local level, and we can really beef up our local economy and support each other in that way. So just to keep the ball rolling with several generations doing the same type of work, that's really important. So yeah, there's just a little bit about that.
That's really helpful, especially as we think about anybody listening today could be talking about it for themselves, or they could be thinking about it for their loved ones. So just never know where you might be jumping in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Dane, I'll let you go. Sorry for interrupting you.
No problem at all. So yeah, this next slide here kind of just discusses the growth of the industry. So once again, right now, it's kind of just a very exciting time to be in this industry. There's lots of different factors all kind of coming together in this kind of beautiful blend at the same time, which is just making the solar demand really, really high. Big part of that one is just the environmental benefit of it, right? We're kind of seeming to get on it to do or die time here in regards to making sure that we can all do our part in combating climate change. And one great way to do that is to produce energy through a renewable resource such as solar. So, some factors that account for why this industry is just growing and projected to continue to grow, be one of the most in-demand jobs in the nation. One is, clean energy goals, and we have those on a local level, a state level, and a federal level. So whether that is your utility company that is setting renewable energy goals, such as Minnesota Power saying, hey, by 2050, we want to be 100% carbon free. And we have state renewable energy goals. So the state of Minnesota wanting to produce X amount of power, excuse me, by 2035, or excuse me, on the federal level, they want to try to get to 100% clean energy by 2035, which as of right now would still require more growth in the industry, which means we're probably going to be looking at some more, federal incentives. The wages for installers may go up, it'll trickle down in the whole industry, and just the demand for solar only keeps going up. So if you become an expert in the field, you're going to be very valuable. Also, kind of along with that is the cost for all of the goods only continues to go down as we learn more and more. As the technology increases, cost of solar is decreasing while the efficiency of panels are increasing. And then another part of it is it provides stable power for homeowners on a residential level. People are starting to get a little uneasy about the utility companies, and they just feel more comfortable knowing, hey, I'm going to produce my own power on my house, and as long as the sun is shining, I get to produce power. So people have a lot of value there. Also helps combat the rising cost of electricity. So basically, when you buy solar, you kind of fix in a rate that you get to produce your own power through the panels that you bought. So if your utility company is still going to increase the rates, doesn't affect you as much because you paid that fixed rate for your solar. And then kind of a little side note is also the battery / EV technology. So, home battery backup systems are becoming much more popular as well, where you can harness all of that energy from those solar panels and store it in a battery. And so if the grid and if your power is to go out in your home, those batteries can turn on and either power your whole house, power certain items. It's very customizable in that regard. And then also the electric vehicle, kind of boom that's going on right now. The added energy that it takes to charge those vehicles is kind of directly correlated with solar. So that way you can help combat added cost to charge them. And then some people like to charge their vehicles kind of directly off of, those solar panels. All right. So now we have, these are just kind of typical degrees or certifications, which, are common in the solar industry. So one would be a engineering degree. So whether that's civil, structural, mechanical, electrical, you find engineers across the board in all aspects of the solar industry. Civil, us as a company, we have engineers go out to look at buildings quite often to basically verify that, yep, the building can support the weight of the solar panels. There's also engineers who will, they help on site with physical installations. Electrical engineers, of course, they help design systems. They may help with battery technology, with EVs, lots of kind of different routes there. Basically, any sort of engineer is very valuable in the solar industry. Then we have if the electrician route. So if you wanted to be an installer, go put panels up on the roof to kind of help complete the installation, getting that apprenticeship card, as we kind of talked about before, is a great way to start. And you gain that experience, you gain that knowledge as you go along. The NABCEP certification, which I touched on before, it's kind of the industry standard. That's another certification which is pretty widespread throughout the industry. A great way to start. That's kind of where I began with all of my knowledge that I have on solar, is obtaining that NABCEP. And then basically you build a great foundation of knowledge, and it just verifies that you know what you're doing. And then real estate, as I kind of briefly touched on before, there's an ongoing growth of solar on residential levels. So now, people in the real estate world are learning how to appraise the value of that. There's the development side of things. So if you wanted to go down the utility scale route, kind of helping develop those projects, are very similar skills and very similar kind of tasks as what a kind of a developer for real estate would also do. Then there's also sales and marketing. Pretty much like any job out there, you got to have people that can sell it. You got to have marketing as well. And so basically, the sales side of things is looking like it's getting a little more technical as time goes on. The industry kind of has a lot of companies that, kind of fly by night. They take advantage of the kind of the growth right now and the high demand. And so what's sort of trending is that a lot of the salespeople are actually gaining a lot of knowledge of solar and the installations of it. So that way they can help, provide the best service possible. And then last but not least is just kind of getting that on-site experience, whether that's an internship with a company, doing sales, doing, cleaning the buildings for it, whatever it takes, just kind of getting your foot into the door of a company, whether it's an installer, a manufacturer, what they'll call an EPC, which is kind of the solar developer for the large scale projects. Those are all just great things to kind of strive for, good certifications to have, and just great ways to kind of begin your, transition into the solar space. And so here's just kind of from what my experience, the people who seem to thrive the most in the industry, I would say kind of boils down to having these common traits. One would be, motivated, just because there's a lot of moving parts. It's a little technical at times. And so you just have to have the motivation to know that you're not going to know it all, but have the motivation to find the answer when you need to. And then also just curious. Like I said, the industry's changing what seems to be every day. I learn about something new that's coming out. So you got to have a genuine curiosity about it all. So that way you can stay engaged and stay interactive, just reliable, knowing, doing what you say you're going to do, being reliable, being there, really goes a long way, especially this day and age at this time. And then also just being proud, just taking pride in what you do, knowing that, whatever you're doing in this industry is overall a big help, a big part of the solution to helping, combat climate change, while also, there's a lot of different avenues to go down. And, wage wise, most of the different kind of jobs that we had discussed pay above that median national average of about $50,000 a year. So you can kind of feel good about what you're doing, along with making sure that you can afford, to live the life that you want to live. And so that's kind of just the brief overview there. So if anyone has any questions, then feel free to reach out. I know Kat is a great resource, especially for Cook County. She knows a lot about the ins and outs as to what, how everything goes on there.
And Dane, could you tell me a little bit about what your favorite part about being involved with the industry is?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, I would say probably just kind of like I said about the pride thing, just kind of knowing, on a big picture, knowing how much this is helping. Really every single solar panel that we help install just is more energy that we can produce from the sun, less of an environmental burden on the world. And so it's just kind of knowing, while sometimes it feels really small, but those cumulative small things add up to a much bigger picture.
Well, and just to keep it realistic, is there something that you don't like about working in an industry? So people know maybe that's something that isn't great for them, but maybe great for the next guy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a couple of the biggest obstacles I encountered right away was one, the technical aspect of it. I thought it would be a lot easier to learn it, and maybe that's just me kind of struggling to figure it out right away. But it takes time. There's a lot of ins and outs of the industry. And so in order to truly be an expert, it just takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience to learn it all. And then, to be honest, right now, one of the things that we've been experiencing is just we're being, very busy. We got a lot of people who are interested. And so it's a lot to keep up with everything. I mean, not complaining, a great problem to have. But that's another kind of obstacle, I would say, at least for the time being.
Well, we can definitely see that we're having a lot of growth in our community and region. And I think that's true other places in Minnesota and beyond. So you can see that people that have new homes and also old homes might be looking at this for the future, or and other uses for businesses and things. So you can see that as a region, at least, there's a lot of potential growth, and that this seems like a great career path for many that would maybe choose this as an opportunity to start looking at now while they are in high school, or if they're adults, looking at it as maybe a career change or a career start. You can see many entry points that could bring you to this field, and especially that you could be a person that says, maybe I'm not meant to be the engineer, or I don't want to do some piece of it out in the field, but you could be looking at being a salesperson. Maybe you want to sit in an office every day and have these great conversations with individuals that are interested. So lots of different entry points for lots of different personalities.
Yeah, it's definitely a very big industry. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of options. So I think there's a good fit for anyone. If you're interested in, jumping into that industry, there's something for each person, which is really, really nice. And I think this is that's something that I think would be interesting, just to touch on really quick. I don't know if a lot of people know that this exists, because I definitely, until I took on this job, I had no idea that a solar co-op existed and what that even was. So I thought that would be kind of fun to talk about a little bit, because I know Wolf Track Energy has been very, very busy this season with the solar co-op that's been going on for the Duluth and Arrowhead region. If you wouldn't mind touching on that a little bit.
So a solar co-op. So in this example, what we're kind of talking about is it's kind of a third-party company. They're called Solar United Neighbors. I'll give them a shout out. They're fantastic. And so really what Solar United Neighbors does is they come into different communities, different areas all around the country. And basically they reach out to homeowners in the areas and kind of get a sense and a gauge of, okay, who is interested in, pursuing solar, who's interested in getting solar at their house. And so what Solar United Neighbors does is they form a group or a co-op, and they get all these various homeowners to join. And so in this case, they got about 35 homeowners to all join their co-op. And then what they did was they reached out to all of the installers in the area, and they say, hey guys, we have 35 homeowners who are interested in getting quotes for solar. And what we want you to do is send us a bid, so we can vote on what company that we want to represent this co-op. And so really what that does is all of the installers now are kind of competing against each other to win this bid. And so it's kind of like the group buy where there's power in numbers. And so, Wolf Track as a company, we knew, okay, all of our competitors were also going to be sending a bid. And so we're going to lower our prices, to the best of our abilities. So that way we can win the bid, because we know there are at least 35 homeowners interested in going solar. And so the co-op, is a really great method. I'm a big fan. They also kind of provide a third party median for the homeowners. So they provide education for the homeowners on the ins and outs of going solar. And then they also, if they have any discrepancies with whatever installer is selected, the homeowner can reach out to Solar United Neighbors and say, hey, why is this the way it is? And then Solar United Neighbors can kind of help sort out, any sort of discrepancies or issues in that regard.
Thank you. Thanks for answering that. I think it's been a really wonderful opportunity for our community. We've had a whole lot of people sign up just this last round that closed. I think for the Duluth and Arrowhead region, there's 128 people who ended up joining the co-op, which is a great number of people from Duluth and all the way up here. So, and we're going to be doing another round next year. So it's been very successful. There's been several rounds and people are kind of just gauging more and more interest. So one neighbor gets it, they share it with their other neighbors and tell about their great experience, and then they share it, and then more interest continues. So it's a great way for our community to keep moving towards more energy independence as a community together. And Wolf Track Energy has been that awesome installer who's been making that difference and that change for us. So we're very grateful for the hard work you've been putting in for our community.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great experience. The co-op, yeah, it's been great. They really help us, especially with that education piece, helping educate the homeowners on the ins and outs of the industry. Really makes a big difference, I think, in helping people feel more confident in how the whole process works and just the ins and outs of it, because it can be kind of a flood of information all at the same time. And so they're just another great resource to help with that.
Such great information, you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share and give us these opportunities for learning. We know that there's a lot more we can look into, and we look forward to seeing who connects with us so we can answer, and help with more questions as they're asked. Anything else anybody wants to toss out before we end for the day?
No, just thanks everyone for taking the time to jump on and gauging your curiosity. This is a really, really wonderful avenue to explore for a future career. And seriously, do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. We'd love to help guide you and support you however we can, so you can, move forward if this is something you're interested in. And if it's not, that's okay. We're still wanting to help you. So thanks for your time and good luck with everything. And Dane, thank you so much for carving out this time of your day. We really appreciate you doing this. It means a lot, and we're really happy we can make this happen for our community.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you guys for allowing me to do this. It's exciting. And for anyone listening, you have any questions for me, so I work with Wolf Track Energy, feel free to just, reach out to me. I'm happy to help and answer any questions that you may have with the expertise that I do have. So